fed you when you were a freedom fighter. Not because I wanted you to come back and point a gun at me, but to free the country of injustice. So if you're going to point a gun at us, women who looked after you for so long, we're not going to have it. And women got together and they pushed the trucks, the technicals with the machine guns, they pushed them into the sea. And said, anybody who points a gun at us, we're going to grab that gun and we're going to throw it to the sharks. So you learn to behave and you respect us. So the women were the people who were the first to demand peace in Somaliland. And I'm proud that they did that. Because from that moment on, people began to respect each other. And then the constitution came, and the elections came, and the parliament came, and the government came. And Somaliland today is a country that is the envy of many other countries, and I'm repeating that. And of course, no schools. Kids were going to school in the shade of a tree. They had no benches, they had no blackboard or whiteboards, they had no laptops. They had the sand, and they had a finger. And they would just have the sand, and the teachers, whoever could read something, would teach the kids how to write on sand. A, B, no, do it again. Come on, B. And that's how the kids were taught to read, to learn the alphabet. And each kid used to be asked to bring 10 little pebbles to the shade of the tree, which was the school, to learn to count. You have 10 pebbles, you give me 5. How many do you have left? Subtraction. If I give you another 10, how many will you have? That's how the kids learn to calculate, to count, to read. Today, Somaliland has over 30-something universities. We started under the shade of that tree because the people of Somaliland were determined that they would have peace and that we would educate our children whichever way we could. That's the story of Somaliland. I want you to remember. But of course, the women are always pushed to the side. And if there was maybe 20 kids under that shade of a tree, there may be 1 or 2. You go back to your house. You're a girl. Don't sit with the boys. But today, we have more girls in universities in Somaliland than we have boys. So, the girls who were denied to even sit under the shade of a tree to learn the ABC, today 70% of the students in my university are female. Alhamdulillah. Today, I have a chief surgeon who's a Somaliland woman. I have an assistant surgeon who's a Somaliland woman. I have anaesthetists who are Somaliland women. I have instrument nurses who are Somaliland women. I have nurses and midwives who are Somaliland women. I have a theatre supervisor who is one of my trainees. An operating theatre full of women, skilled, competent medical practitioners, whether it's medicine or nursing or anesthesia, who are bringing their skills together to operate on a patient on that table. And it could be a man or it could be a woman. Women, Somaliland surgeons are saving lives today. The director of my hospital is a woman. Alhamdulillah. It comes with learning, with determination, and with a passion for what they're doing. Dr. Shukri is a surgeon. Dr. Fatima is the hospital director. Ayan is the dean of the School of Nursing and Medicine. Most of them are my former students. But today, they have more qualifications than I have. Dr. Shukri is the one I almost kicked out. She is the surgeon. I'm still a midwife. I'm not a surgeon, but she is. That's what Somaliland is all about. Now you give me another country where women have been denied an education and have risen to that level where they put their knowledge and skills together to save lives, whether it's a man or a woman. That's the story of Somaliland I want you to remember. Of course, maternal mortality is high. maternal mortality is high because when you deliver a woman, you know about anatomy, you know about physiology, you know about the process of labor, you know about the progress of the presenting part, you know about the dilatation of the cervix, you know about the position of the baby, you know about the fetal heart, you know about the condition of this baby that's being born, you know about the intensity of the contractions, you know about the passion, the baby and the mother, and you have things to deal with, complications or deviation from the normal. This baby is impacted, this woman's pelvis is contracted, this baby will not come through this pelvis. You won't let this baby die. You won't let this woman rupture. You will do a cesarean section. You get that baby out alive. So that in a few hours, this mother will hold her baby, living baby, on her lap when she recovers from the anesthesia. That's what you do, because you have the knowledge. Women don't die of infection because you clean your hands, you cut your nails, you wash your instruments. You have a clean environment. You sterilize things. People don't die of eclampsia. This woman's face is puffy. Her rings are getting tight. There's fluid retention. Her ankles are swollen. Her face is puffy. Let's check her blood pressure. Let's check her urine for proteins. You manage it. Preeclampsia. You take care of it right there and then. You don't allow this woman's blood pressure to rise, to continue to rise. Her kidneys to become damaged. Her liver to become damaged. Wait for her to have fits. Chew her tongue off. You don't wait for her to inhale all the secretions that come out of her when she's unconscious and fitting. And then she will die of inhalation pneumonia. You don't allow that. You can take care of it. It's the most easy thing to see, to diagnose, and to manage. But eclampsia is the biggest killer of our women. 30% of the women who die of eclampsia. No woman should die of eclampsia. But that's because that woman has nowhere else to go. There's nobody to take care of her. All she has is her neighbor, is her grandmother, is her older sister, or her 9-year-old daughter. We've had a woman brought in, shoulder presentation, the prolapse of the arm, and she calls her daughter. There's nobody else in the village. And she says, pull. The little kid is pulling this arm. She said, pull, get it out. And the kid pulled and pulled. You know what happened? The arm came off. That baby is dead. But that baby is impacted. The body is still in there. Line transfers across the pelvis. And eventually they bring her to us with a shocked little 9-year-old kid, a child herself, an almost dead mother, and a dead fetus inside. That 9-year-old is all this woman had for her. And alhamdulillah, she's alive today. But she had a hospital to be brought to. How many of them can be brought to a hospital? They die on the way. They bleed to death. They become infected. They never make it. Would you like to be treated in a hospital like that? I wouldn't even want the goat to be treated in a place like that. That's how we found our hospitals after the war. The only healthy thing there is a goat. Maybe coming to pick up on, whatever. But lying in their own juices. Probably wounded in the war. Somebody brought them to a hospital only to die on a bed on the springs of a bed to die with the others. Nobody should have such an undignified end to their lives. Somebody should have cared. And that's what moved me. And when that's happening, I was a big, important WHO ambassador, making my thousands of dollars a month, worrying about, is my Mercedes the latest model? Is it as good as the other one? Is my blouse, my shoes, my bag, do they match? Each time I traveled, the first places I would go to is, where's the shopping area? Where's the boutique? I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't live in this artificial life that I was living in Djibouti, surrounded by air conditioning, surrounded by power. I was the most senior UN staff in Djibouti. I was the dean of the UN staff in Djibouti. I had 32 years of service with the World Health Organization. I had been the UN WHO regional advisor for the Eastern Mediterranean region. I had positions that many envied. And that's how my people are. I couldn't reconcile my conscience to this. And that's when I decided I would realize my lifelong ambition to one day build a hospital. As a child, I wanted to build a hospital. That was a romantic idea. But this was the reality that brought me home. That's what took me home. It was either leaving that goat to look after the sick, or me to go back and treat the sick with whatever I had been taught. And alhamdulillah, it's the best thing I ever did. So I started to build my hospital. That was on a trash dump. I don't know how many have been to Hargeisa. Did you know what this place was like before the hospital? Very Salanta, and then became the trash dump. It was a place where troops would kill people, would shoot people. It was a bad, smelly place. But that was the only land I could get. So I started, before I could start building, the government bulldozed it for me and carted away 32 truckloads of trash from it. And God sent the rains, and I live on it. And that's been my home for the past 20 years. I live on a trash dump. I was a guest in the White House, but I am at home when I'm in my apartment. And we built, and we built. In fact, this is where my apartment is. And we built, and we built. It was opened in 2002, and today we have delivered over 25,000, we've treated 30-something thousand, we've treated so many people in outpatients, and in the Somaliland had 17 doctors in a big country that's as big as England and Wales. And most of them were in Hargeisa, 1 or 2 in Burma, 1 or 2 in Berbera, 1 or 2 in Boroma. That was it. But what about the rest of the people? And that's where we started to train nurses. I'm a nurse, I'm a midwife. That's who I can train. So these are some statistics of to the end of December. And in the end we'll September, December we'll add the numbers for 2019. Of the 24,000 or 25,000 mothers that we have delivered, We have lost 68 mothers in the 17 years that the hospital has been in existence. Yes, it's a small number compared to the statistics of the Horn, where maternal mortality is 1,600 per 100,000 live births. This is something like 250 per 100,000 live births. But those 68 women should not have died. They could have been saved. They should have been saved. 30% of them died of eclampsia. They just bring them to us unconscious, livers failed, lungs are full, brain has stopped, kidneys have packed up. You put in a catheter, you get maybe 2 inches, 2 cc's of cubic centimeters of urine or black tea. They die of dehydration. They die of sepsis. They die of inhalation pneumonia. They die of brain damage. They should not have died. And each one of them has probably left children and has left a family without a mother, has left a husband without a wife. And all it would have taken is to give that woman prenatal care, check her for anemia, check her for high blood pressure. Today, we have, during the past 22 years that I've been in Somaliland, since I retired, I must have flown over, just on Ethiopian Airlines, I have flown 1 million and a couple of 100,000 miles, air miles. I'm up there half the time, at 30,000 feet. I travel, not because I want to do some tourism. I've done all my tourism when I was your age. But I travel because there's a reason for me to travel. There's a reason that could do humanity some good somewhere. I'm tired. I want to rest. I'm 82 years old. I want to put my feet up. I want to wake up when I want to wake up. I don't want to wake up because I have an appointment at 7 in the morning. I don't want to get called at 2 o'clock in the morning when there's a woman bleeding and we all go down and all hands on deck. I want to take a day off. I want to travel the world for pleasure. But I do what I have to do because there's no time for rest. Because I'm waiting for that army to take over from me. I'm waiting for those people to come and save those women who are dying of eclampsia and postpartum hemorrhage and puerperal infection, and those little premature babies who grandma says, give him grease, give him butter. It's a premature little baby that weighs 800 grams. Its digestive system is so fragile and so delicate. It can barely tolerate colostrum. I need people to look after those babies. I need people to look after the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the parents of those little kids. That was our first baby. Where are you? Harir. Harir is 17 years old today, or thereabouts. He still comes to the hospital. He's taller than I am. Our contribution is he will always have free treatment in the hospital. All his childhood diseases, all his coughs and his fevers and his diarrheas. It's all been through, and another little sister of his came after him. And I'm grooming this kid. I'm helping him as much as I can because he wants to become a doctor one day. And if Subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me life to see that kid who I delivered 17 years ago, it's the first baby born in that hospital, built on a trash dump and a once killing ground, grows up to become somebody who saves lives. my life would have been worth living. So the rest are pictures. My first graduation. This little one here, this is Dr. Shukri. That's the surgeon now. Because after nursing, she excelled in nursing, she excelled in midwifery. And I sponsored her and Dr. Naima to go to Boroma. And they graduated from medicine in 2011. They're both surgeons. Dr. Shukri is the one who inserts the shunts. She has done over 500-600 shunts. And she's the one who's been invited by the American College of Surgeons to lecture there on how to insert shunts in under-resourced hospitals. A little girl I almost kicked out because she was so young. She is today the chief surgeon. That's who I want you to become one day. I want you to become lecturers in the American College of Surgeons, the American College of Canadian Associations, or wherever. Aim for the best. Aim to be the best, whatever you do. If your chosen profession is how to polish shoes, be the best polisher of shoes. That's it. Whatever you do, be good at it. And love what you're doing. Do it with your heart. And then, of course, the hospital is a general hospital. We treat old men and women and whoever. But then, this is my army. That's my Red Army. That's the midwives. That's the community midwives. And when in 2007 I said I wanted 1,000 midwives for Somaliland, everyone thought I was crazy. And of course everybody was right. We have just completed 1,100. And now we need another 500, and we need to raise the bar. We need to get the masters. We need to get more qualifications for the midwives and for the nurses. And they're really, really changing the lives, making a difference for the lives of our women. There's 2 or 3 in every little health post. There's 2 or 3 in most hospitals. And very often they're the only health professional there. Doctors won't go to villages, but they do. And all they have is a little bag. And they're working miracles. I know there's a little Al Khair in, I don't know, who knows the village of Ta'aburo? Ta'aburo, yeah. From Hargeisa to Berbera, there's a village of Ta'aburo. Oh my God. It's in the middle of nowhere. They never had a midwife. And Al Khair was the top of the class in her group. And the government set up an MC, a mother and child health center. And she was the best, so we sent her there. Little Al Khair taught herself to drive by borrowing her brother's little car and was running around delivering women in the middle of the night. There's no roads. You know, it's a very mountainous area. And she would go down valleys and up hills and get the placenta out and back again and doing vaccinations and what have you. A little girl who was 19 years old made a difference in the lives of that village, Ta'aburo. Her name, Al Khair, the mother of good things, of goodness. She really is the mother of good things. I'm so proud. So much more precious than my Chanel blouse and my Gucci belt and I don't know what else. I want the Al Khairs of this world to come out and shine and improvise and do what you have to do with what you have. Don't say, oh, but I can't do that, I don't have anything. Oh, I can't, I do that. She did what she had to do, and they all do what they have to do. Improvise. Do it. Just get on with it. Do your best. Give it your best shot. That's it. This is Gabile, the school in Gabile. This is Berbera. Do you know how? I know the floor. And that's where my father worked, Adan Ismail. I remember as a child I would go to the hospital, and today to be training midwives in the hospital where my father worked in the 30s and 40s makes me proud. And I said, and these are the kids who are going to save lives. They're going to make a difference. And then of course, we fight harmful traditional practices. Female genital mutilation. A little girl survives measles, survives diarrhea and vomiting, survives, I don't know, malnutrition. She's 7 and 8. She's running and playing and talking and meeting our boy at the door and having a mind, inquisitive mind. Why? Wants explanations. And then when she's in the most beautiful age in her life, they catch her and they cut up between her legs. All in the name of tradition. It's totally against the teachings of Islam. It's haram. Other Muslim people don't do it. We do it because it was left for us by the pharaohs. Fir'auni. And then you try and get a baby out of that perineum. They won't stretch. They won't let this baby out. And you cut without anesthesia. You cut with blunt scissors because you don't have a good pair of scissors. You say, this is no good, get me another one. This is all she has. This blunt pair of scissors is all she has. That's the reality of our people. And of course, our trained nurses, once we train them, we give them to the government. And the government places them. Some statistics. I will leave this for you. You can keep that. Because I want you to come and do some research on maternal mortality. I want you to come and teach research methodology. I want you to come and make research palatable. Because during the 31 years of communism, or 20-something years of communism, research was given a bad name. Research? Why? Who you want to gather information for? What are you writing? Who are you giving these statistics to? It was seen as you're a spy. Nobody kept registers. Nobody kept records. But we have records now. And we need to learn from what the records that we have. We want to know the attitudes. We want to know the practices. We want to know the prevalence. We want to know what is killing our people and how can we prevent that from happening. So, you're the first one I'm going to kidnap. You better search my bags at the airport. And this is what I want you to be proud of. Somaliland today has high rises. Our people are coming back by the shiploads, by the plane loads. We have universities. We have businesses. People are coming. There's so many Chinese, there's so many Indians, there's so many Turks, there's so many other foreigners who come in doing business in Somaliland. It's a good barometer. It's a good dipstick. If people are coming to do business in Somaliland, it means that the situation is good. We have a government that is elected. We have a government that wants to do well. We're gaining friends. We're welcoming people. We're making contracts. That's Somaliland of today. From the bones Somaliland and developing as Somaliland has developed, than to become recognized and just fall into the dumps. I'm better than many countries that I've recognized. Somaliland is better than many countries that fly flags in the UN. We owe nothing to anybody. We have no loans. We have no handouts. We do it the best way we can. We do it the Somaliland way, better than anybody else. Be proud of it. Take that picture home with you. This is Dr. Amal. This is Dr. Shukri. Dr. Amal was being trained. These are some of her first C-sections. The instrument nurse in the back there, in the square mask, her name is Edna, little Edna. She's as little as, which one of you is the littlest? You. She's like you. But she's all brain. She's one of the 3 anesthesia trainers that we have. We sent the best to Kenya, they get trained, they come back. And today, we have received 12 anesthesia machines, 1 for every hospital in Somaliland, every government hospital in Somaliland. Ras Anod, Enrigabo, Borao, Sheikh, Berbera, Hargeisa, Gabile, Borame, Harirat, and little Edna is one of the 3 anesthetists who have to go up to wherever it is when there's a malfunction. And little girl, shorter than that. Yeah, she's you're about her size. But it's all brain. It's not the length of your femur. It's the size of your brain. It's the size of your heart. That's what counts. And today, to have anesthetists who go to the corners of Somaliland to make sure that the patients who are given anesthesia in those isolated places are safe. We still have a long way to go. We are also now training doctors, of course. We're training more, we need more anesthetists. And we also have the first postnatal residency course for doctors on how to do safe C-sections. We treat men. He's not pregnant. We have free cleft lips and palates repaired. This girl lived like that for 22 years. Always covered her face because she couldn't show her face. Today, yeah, there's a little bit of asymmetry in the nostril, but that's a beautiful woman. Alhamdulillah. And all these operations are done for free, by the way. All fistula is done for free. All cleft lips are done for free. All shunts are inserted. Look at the size of that head. No child in Canada would live to that age with that size of a head. That child would have had a shunt put in at birth, right? There are many professors in universities who had shunts when they were born. They have a shunt that drains that water so it doesn't accumulate in the head. But then they get them to us when they can. And they come to us from anywhere. They come from Somalia, they come from Djibouti, they come from Ethiopia, they come from anywhere in Somaliland. Shunts are inserted free of charge. Because we're given the shunts and the surgeon gives us his care and training free of charge. Look at the size of this kid. The child's head is bigger than the mother's head. He's got teeth. So he must be at least 3 years old, 2.5, 3 years old. Imagine, she carries him, she feeds him. He cannot sit up. You see, she's supporting the head because it's so heavy. He'll break his neck. See that protective hand to the back of his head, the hand of the mother. Imagine 2 years, 3 years looking after a child like that and still loving it. And it is our privilege and our blessing that we can drain this child's cerebrospinal fluid to allow his head to shrink back to a normal size and to be able to control his head and to grow. Alhamdulillah. This kid was brought from Aragao. Couldn't talk, the contracture of the neck, couldn't swallow well, couldn't talk, couldn't say anything. And all her skin was all scarred. Where'd you get a graft from? And you use back and buttocks and sides, and the poor kid, he don't know which side to lie her in. Alhamdulillah, her neck is released. And I think, her name is Hodo, the most beautiful smile in the world and the happiest child in this world. Now I will leave that picture with you. And I want you to think about what we've talked about for the last, 10 minutes? I don't know how long I've been talking. But I want you to value yourself. You have all been given, taught some skills. Whatever it is, share it. And don't say, oh yeah, I don't have a Mercedes to sell. I don't have, $500,000. It's not the size. It's wanting to do something that matters. And if you ever go home, just go to the village where your grandparents were born, or where your parents, the house where your parents were married, or your uncles still live, or whoever, whatever. And within a radius of 10 kilometers, you will find a school. You will find a mother and child health center. Go and visit it. Maybe the corrugated iron has sheets, roof has a hole. It costs $18 to fix that corrugated iron sheet. Maybe not $20 for the labor and the nails and what have you. Fix it. For $40, you fix the classroom. You can afford that, right? It's the cost of a couple of hamburgers and a shake, and maybe a coffee, right? But for the same amount, you've transformed an entire classroom. The kids don't have to run away when it rains. The sun doesn't come in at noon. Look at the toilet in that school. Doesn't have a toilet for girls. Well, much to the surprise of men, women do have kidneys. And we do have a bladder that needs to be emptied now and again. And we need the privacy of a toilet. We need a door. You guys can go behind a bush and spray spray it. We cannot. We need a door. We need to squat. We need to sit. We need privacy. That school doesn't have a toilet for girls. Build one. Have one less. What's the coffee shop? The coffee shop. Starbucks. One less coffee at Starbucks. Okay? That's $10 a day, 365 days, 3,600 something. That'll build a classroom, it'll build a toilet, it'll build a pit, it'll find doors for one less coffee a day. It has its value. Do it. You can do it. Or maybe that village doesn't even have a school. Maybe it has a health post. It doesn't even have a tank to collect water, the rainwater, when it rains. You can't wash your hands. Make a little water reservoir for them. It's doable. And it's needed. And it's precious. And then somebody else will do the same in the next village, and the next village, throughout Somaliland. And when we've totally rebuilt Somaliland, let's go out to the world and build other nations, other countries. We treat people from Somalia. Why not? They're our neighbors. They're our brothers. I want a child in Somalia to live as much as I want a child in Timbuktu to live, or in Somaliland to live. I've been taught a skill and a profession that is for the world. That little child who needs a shunt didn't shoot at me. Why should I make that child suffer? Why should I punish that child? It's our child. It's a child from our part of the world. We need to protect it. We need to treat it. We need to educate it. We need to love it. And that's the message I want to leave with you. So, I've talked for a long time. I could talk for another 20 hours, don't worry about it, but I won't. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave with a young lady I'm going to kidnap soon. I'm going to leave these with you. Before I go, this is about FGM, so be warned. There are some pictures that are not very good, but they're the reality. They're not about butterflies. They're about female parts. So, you know what I'm talking about. This is one of our newsletters. We do this once or twice a year in the hospital, so you can copy it. You can do what you like with it. I love statistics.
Me too.
This is for the big ones, okay? You can make copies of it. How many babies were born? How many were C-sections? How many were normal deliveries? How many were breech? How many were boys? How many died? And then all the diseases that we've treated. And ladies, look at that. If you can say, I've done that, you must also say, I've lost that. And this are the 68 women. Look at that. These are the ones who died of eclampsia. Look at that big chunk. A big chunk of women would have been alive today if their blood pressure had been controlled. And anybody that tells you can't go to Somaliland, they're talking through their head. Look at all the volunteers who have been to Somaliland. From different countries in the world. 300 and something volunteers have come to Somaliland and worked in my hospital. 321, and I know there's more for 2019. There's Americans, there's Brits, there's Canadians, I left 2 Norwegians in the hospital now. 2 Norwegians, 2 Americans, 1 British, and an Australian just went home. Paula went home a few weeks ago, and she comes every year. And some pictures. So feel free to do what you like with it.
I'll distribute it to anyone who wants a copy.
Anybody wants a copy? That's yours. This is precious. This is precious. This is something that's a new challenge we've started. Somaliland today has 500,000 children going to school. Here, somebody looks after school kids, right? They have their own GP, there's the social worker. Our kids have no school help. So this midwifery doesn't need me anymore. Nursing doesn't need me anymore. I'm fighting injustice for children who are denied the health care that they should have. So this is our the second school health program. And each time we do 2 or 3 schools, and then we screen all the health of those kids in the school, and then we find out their growth, their height, their arm circumference, their weight, their development, their cognitive capacity, their sight, their hearing. And in each school, we find at least 60 or 70 children who need reading glasses. So we buy them reading glasses. And about 50 or 60 kids who have conditions that need to be treated and followed up. Not talking about eczema, not talking about the lice, not talking about, but major things. HIV/AIDS, 0%, maybe tuberculosis, severe anemia and malnutrition, growth retardation. We find things that those kids should have been treated a long time ago, and they're giving it to this kid, and they're giving it to this kid. So this is precious. So this is one thing I want to continue doing, school health program. Our kids are precious. 500,000 kids need us to take care of them. Unfortunately, this is the only one I have, so I'm taking it back. But I think it's available on Amazon. But there's one thing, I brought this to show you. There's some pictures in the middle. Come on, come on, come on. Don't do that to me. Voila. The Proclamation of Independence of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II for the independence of British Somaliland Protectorate. On the 26th of June. That's the Proclamation of Independence of Somaliland. So when people say, we want our independence, we have been independent. We have not been dependent on anybody else since the 26th of June. That's an official gazette. If anybody has any problems with it, go and talk to Queen Elizabeth II about it. So, anyway, I've enjoyed talking to you. I hope I haven't bored you, but I hope I stimulated.
Does anybody have any questions for our esteemed guest, the Iron Lady of Somaliland, one of my personal heroes, and I'm sure she's also one of yours? Don't be shy.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for your wonderful talk. My name is Fatima. I'm a researcher, but I'm also a student midwife here in Toronto. So this is very close to my heart. I'm very curious about how data collection is done in the hospital, specifically related to maternal health indices.
Okay, good. In the world, you learn to invent the wheel. So when I started a maternity hospital and had been trained to record things, this is in my genes. The British would cut my head off if I didn't record the findings that I found on this woman, that I delivered or treated or cared for. So we just developed a register, just a big register, and we just record the admission of this woman, her age, her parity, when contraction started, the condition of her blood pressure, her fetal heart, and then the progress that goes on her chart. But then when she delivers, we write time of delivery, time of the placenta expelled, what type of delivery, was it a cesarean section, or was it ventouse, was it how spontaneous or whatever, and bleeding, the weight of the baby, the sex of the baby, a boy or a girl, and a condition 1 hour after delivery, and who delivered, and then you sign. And that's in the register, and that's how we get a notification of birth. When she's going home, she needs something to take home when her baby was born. We give her, it's on the birth certificate, because birth certificate is done by the government, but we give a notification of birth. So that's where we keep the registers. And then, of course, every patient has a chart. And if somebody dies, then we need to know what they died of. They need to know what are the doctors have to say, died of cardiac arrest or postpartum hemorrhage or whatever. So we have the records. And what we did is we also made similar registers for every hospital in Somaliland, so that when our girls and midwives are trained, they continue to keep the records the way they were taught to keep the records. Because records are very important. If you don't know where you've come from, you'll never know where you want to go. And that's one of the things we have to overcome, because we are an oral society. No, it's It was 10:25, and she was delivered by so-and-so. And this is the baby she gave birth to. And this was the condition of the baby when it was born. And this is the UPAR score of this baby. Yeah? So that's how we do it though. So we have the registers, we have the records. And now we're trying to digitalize them. But then 25,000 is a lot. Thank you for that question, I love it. Thank you. Anybody else? Come on.
Yes.
Come on, hit me. No more grey areas?
I have one.
Okay.
Since we have a bunch of young people in the room with varying interests and have made it here tonight to hear you speak, perhaps you can speak to how we can improve the relationship between healthcare networks in Toronto and those in Somaliland for joint advocacy and to help us sort of get a better understanding of the development that's happening there now.
Okay. Well, I don't want to rub Harvard University under your noses, but we have a relationship with Harvard, with University of Pennsylvania, with King's College Hospital in the UK, and they, we collaborate. We have an agreement to collaborate in different areas, and they send us interns who do some research in a chosen field, and write a paper. They send us people to come and teach. They come and hold seminars for us, short-term courses. So your schools can write to us, write to me, and say, we're interested in sending 2 interns, or 2 student midwives, or medical students, or whatever, to do this or the other. And then we see when, because we're a small hospital, we can only have 2 at a time, and we just do a calendar, we arrange it, and they come over, and they get to know the country, they get to know what we're doing, they get to visit other hospitals, they get to visit other towns, they get to see how things are done.
Full experience.
They get a full experience, and become so motivated. I mean, there's Andrea, for instance, she's another example. She's a Dutch girl, she was a 3rd-year medical student, and she wasn't very happy with medicine. She wasn't sure that she wanted to stay in medicine, that she wanted to do public health, and she was just not motivated. And somebody, she won a scholarship to do 2 months in an African, wherever she wanted. And she was just Googling, and then she just stumbled in the hospital. And this is a freak, an African woman building a hospital. It's like a 2-headed monster. This I gotta see for myself. It doesn't exist. And she came and stayed 2 months with us. She saw her first babies being born with us. We even, by being there and seeing it and delivering it with other midwives, she delivered her first baby with us. She saw her first cesarean section performed. She went back to medical school in Holland, and she excelled in her training. And she has now completed her residency as an obstetrician gynecologist. And every couple of years she comes and she gives me a month of work, of her time, because this is where I really learned how to become a doctor. And now she's doing her PhD. So there's many girls there, many people there. And I want to see more Somali girls. And I'm seeing, we've had Japanese, we've had Chinese, we've had Koreans, we've had Filipino, we've had Brits, we've had Americans, we've had black ones, we've had white ones, we've had striped ones. But I'm not finding enough Somali girls. Where are you guys hiding? And I want to see a Somali man too. And particularly if they're tall. I want to see you guys. There's knowledge out there, there's experience out there. And you know, when they come back, and we give them a report, and we say, this is to certify that so-and-so has done this and that and the other, they excel, they come back here, they become stars. They get opportunities to go into colleges. I know there's a Somali girl here who's a surgeon, who came to us as a volunteer many years ago. So do it. Come out there. Come and see your country. Get to know. Go and visit Las Gale. Go and see the archaeological sites. 8,000 to 9,000 years old. Las Gale. Have you heard of it? Google it. Las Gale. It's beautiful. Go and visit. Go and have some Anna Gale. Go and see. Go to Miyi. Go and go and see where your grandmother came from. Your grandfather came from. Learn how to milk a goat. Whatever. This, it's adventure. Come and, have a swim in the Indian Ocean. It's a beautiful beach. It's a beautiful country. It's beautiful people. And you'll be safe. I'm the only terrorist there, so you'll be okay. So, there's nothing to worry about. Yes, this gentleman.
I think I'll be fine, but Assalamualaikum. My name is Yunus. Two-part question. Yes. One is around funding, not necessarily for the hospital, but in terms of access to health in Somaliland. I know a lot of it is sort of out-of-pocket, pay-for-service, yes. But are there sort of insurance schemes or other things that are at least developing? Yes. And secondarily, I've had the pleasure of seeing your hospital many times in Hargeisa, but outside of Hargeisa, if you go to Borome or Arnabo or yes. wherever you may be, what's the network for sort of health clinics for delivery, etc.? So it's always one of those things. In cities you have great infrastructure, but oftentimes when you go to sort of smaller towns and villages, you may not be so fortunate. So I'd be delighted to hear your perspective on that.
Everything starts somewhere. The hospital, by the way, we charge patients. I have 300 staff that I have to pay salaries to. Where does that come from? I have water, electricity to cover. The only hospital that feeds the patients comes with a cost. And I want a high standard of care. That comes with a cost. I want my staff to be wearing gloves to protect themselves and to protect my patient. So there's a lot of expenses. We charge less than anybody else, and the poor we charge for free. A woman comes in with a ruptured uterus. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Let her die. That's the woman I built the hospital for. So I have to do a lot of fundraising. What I contribute is not a fraction of what the world contributes. The teachers who come to me, I would never be able to afford them. But they give me their time. They give me their expertise. They bring me sutures. They bring me supplies. They bring me things that I would not be able to afford. They bring me knowledge. A system of health exists in Somaliland. There's 7 regional hospitals. Las Anod, Erigabo, Bur'o, Berbera, Hargeisa, Borome. And then there's the next level district hospitals. Harirat, Gabile, of Amud, which is the first training school for medical doctors. and for nurses. We were the first to do nursing, but then nursing are trained in Burao, they're trained in Borme, they're trained in La Ergao because we trained them, they're trained in Gabile because I trained them, and Sheikh comes to Berbera. Berbera Hospital today has a hospital being built by the Emiratis, and the staff who will work in that hospital, we are training. I'm training 40 nurses, male and female, in Berbera. And once they're trained, we give them to the government. So that when the hospital will be finished, they will have 40 trained nurses to work in that hospital. So, there's a long way to go for equity. There's a long way to go to make sure that levels are the same. Sometimes Hargeisa Group Hospital functions less well than another hospital somewhere else because of the quality of the management, the supervision, the resources available. So Somaliland was able to do that from nothing. It's for you guys to pick it up from there. We found it, we got the goats out, we got the donkeys out. It's for you guys, it's for your generation to come over and raise the bar and make sure that every Somalilander in every corner of this great country has the same right to care and quality of care that everybody has. Insurance, yes, private insurance, it's voluntary. But government hospitals are for the people. They have a budget and they go there. But sometimes the quality of care there is not as good as it could be and as it should be. And that's why we need to train people even better. That's where discipline needs to improve. That's where management needs to improve. That's where resources need to be made available. That's where records need to be kept. That's where there should be accountability. So, yes, we've improved. Yes, we've got something, but it's not perfect. There's no room for complacency. There's a big, big margin that needs improvement, and it has to be the same for every citizen of Somaliland, whatever region they belong to. I hope I've answered your question. But you've all been there. So since you've been to Somaliland? Many times. And how have you traveled through Somaliland?
I've only gone as far as Dudley one way.
I'm sorry?
Dudley, only the first I've gone.
Gabile area.
Yeah, then to Oak.
Where?
Oak.
Oak. Okay. Oak is empty. Oak is empty.
What can I say?
Yeah, Oak is empty. I have big empty patches. If you come to my hospital one day, whether I'm there or not, I have a war map. And you'll find little circles. And these are places where I've trained people from. And I say, who is delivering women in that area? Where does that woman go when she's bleeding? The woman there. Get me some girls from there. Get me some girls to train. So that's the best I can do. And I'm contributing my time and my resources. So I need someone to take over from me. I cannot sell my Mercedes twice, it's already gone. I cannot sell my washing machine again, it's gone. There's a lot of room that needs, a lot that needs to be improved.
One final question?
One more?
In
Yes,
the back?
it's a lady in the back.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but you're a guest.
Yeah.
Come on, you're a guest.
I'm actually not a guest.
She'll introduce herself.
Yes.
So my name is Wangari Rao. I actually work here.
Mandari, like Mandari Watai.
Wangari, yeah, from Kenya.
Yeah, from Kenya, yeah.
And I knew about this event on Thursday when Muna wanted to move the meeting from wherever it was supposed to be to actually come here. So I told her I'll just pop in to see what is actually going on, but I'm so glad I came. I have a question about the original funding to build the hospital. I have a proposal that I got to develop with a group in Kenya to actually build a hospital in my village.
Wow.
one of the barriers I'm coming across is funding of infrastructure projects.
Welcome to the club.
So that's such a huge problem. So, and I'm wondering if you can share some of your tips, secrets.
Sure, absolutely.
That's one question. The other question is, you talked about partnerships with academic institutions from the West.
Yes.
Do you establish partnerships with community-based organizations like us?
University in Kenya, Ahfad University in Sudan,
Okay.
Jazeera University in the Sudan, Pretoria University in South Africa. Yes.
So I'm actually talking about community-based organizations like Women's Health. We provide healthcare services, but we're a community-based organization.
Come to Somaliland. Happy to welcome you. Yep. To build a hospital, you have to put your hand in your pocket. I started building it when I was 60. I got my UN terminal benefits after 32 years service with the UN. I cashed in all my personal assets and savings, my jewelry. That's why I wear these diamonds now. These are my diamonds. 2 pounds from a gypsy. Do you want this one? Don't leave it on the other one. I built it. That's why I wear these diamonds now. And in fact, the toilets, my jewelry was the last I sold. When I built the hospital, I had no toilets. I had no pipes. I had no drainage pipes. So I went to Dubai and sold my jewelry. And I sold them for $47,000. And today the toilets have been bought with that money. And I use them all the time. And hundreds of thousands of people use them with me. But when they were jewels, they were just locked up somewhere, and I said, "Oh my God, I forgot my keys. My cupboard is open. Now I don't have to worry about anything. I just give it my life. I have my UN pension that comes in every month. I throw that in. I get invited to speak in universities. Walden University. How many times have you heard me speak in Walden University? Now they don't even publish it anymore. Every time I lecture there, they give me $17,000, and they pay for my ticket. And they pay for my hotel. It adds up. And then I get people to come and contribute their time. And some institutions give me supplies. And that's how we can treat these people, sometimes for nothing or for very little. So start saving. That's the best I can tell you. Nobody is going to give you money to build a hospital.
I need $6 million.
You need? No, I need mine for $340,000. But then I keep adding. And then I took a loan from the Habshil. I never took a loan. I was always giving people loans in the old days. I signed a $100,000 loan from the Habshil. And then when I finished that, I took another $50,000. That's how I could build my university. And then when the French gave me the Légion d'honneur, they gave me 100,000 euros, which I used for my construction of the university, together with what I borrowed from the Habshil. That's how I could do it.
But you're not taking Mona.
Oh, I am. I need her to come and teach. I'm going to borrow her. I'm going to borrow her. I need her.
I appreciate that. Go ahead.
So,
Thank you.
Final question. Final question?
Yes, the lady in
So I'll keep it sweet and short. I just want to
Yes.
say thank you so much for coming. You truly inspired me. My name is Mona, and I'm actually taking a sabbatical from work to go to Hargeisa, to go to Somaliland for a year. And I was like leaving in a couple of months.
Where are you taking this sabbatical from?
I'm from my life. No, just a sabbatical. I thought to myself, it's just a great point in my career.
Background?
I am I'm a program supervisor with the provincial government here, so I work with program management, program evaluation for children with special needs.
Yes.
But honestly, just hearing you talk, because I was a little apprehensive about going back, but I'm so inspired right now, and it was such a great opportunity. And thank you to all the organizers.
Come and teach management to the nurses and midwives and the
That would be
doctors.
amazing.
Yeah, come and teach. Come and work with us at the university.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
teach research,
Right.
management,
Yes.
leadership. I want them to see role models. Because an 82-year-old cannot be a role model for a 25-year-old. You closer, they say, that's the woman I want to be. I want to become like that.
No, we want to become like her. This is the woman behind me right here. This montage of our favorite photos of a woman of many firsts. The first lady of Somaliland. The first hospital built by a woman in Somaliland. The first female foreign minister of Somaliland. There's too many firsts to count. And this is not the first book that you've been featured in. This is your book, but you've also been featured in Half the Sky by Nick Kristof. And so there's literature out there. There's a roadmap. This is it. This is a roadmap. This is your inspiration. This is your opportunity to take the bull by the horns, to fulfill not only your dreams, but your capabilities, and to share that with the people who need it more. Those are your kinsmen, they are your countrymen, they are global citizens like yourselves. So we're not going to wait any longer. We are going to follow Dr. Adna Adan Ismail lead. We are going to invest whatever it is that we have, whether it's our skills, our talent, our money, and we're going to put that forward and share that with our kin who need it the most. I want to thank Dr. Edna for coming tonight, for sharing her wisdom. She has more energy than I do. I thought I was going to moderate from here, but she had me all around. She stood up the whole time. And to be honest, you were a hero of mine for many years, and I imagined you much taller. Only because your stature, the things that you've stood for, the things that you have accomplished. In my mind, you are a giant. And you're here in front of me today, and you are still a giant. And I want to thank her for her efforts coming all the way here. Tomorrow she will be at Daniel Spectrum, where she will be conducting and leading a fundraiser for the Adna Adan Hospital Foundation. You can find it, the website online, adnaadanhospital.com. On there you'll find links to resources, ways for you to get in touch, ways for you to share your time and energy with the hospital, ways for you to help advocate and promote some of the issues that Dr. Edna has been fighting for: women's health, abolishing FGM, ensuring that no child and no mother is left to their own, resort, that they have someone that they can lean on. And those someones are us. We are those someones. We don't have to wait. It's us. So please join us tomorrow at Daniel
green men are
Spectrum.
coming from the moon to do it for us.
No IMF loans. No CEDA sponsored grant cycle or something like that. It's going to be the next generation. And Dr. Edna has done her part. There's no one here who can ask her to do any more. That would be unfair. So I just want to remind all of us that the opportunity is now. She has not stopped. She keeps going. She's continuing. But we have to take the baton and continue the rest of the way. We have some refreshments in the hall. Please help yourselves. If any of you are too shy to ask a question, perhaps when no one's listening, you can ask.
I have one little thing that I want to... I'm sorry, I'm a microphone addict. I shoot it up. I just want to share, some years ago, UNICEF was throwing away some milk, powdered milk. There's so much people who are hungry and so many children on the milk. And the milk, on the 31st of December, the milk was good. On the 1st of January,
they were going to burn it. Didn't make sense. So we said, well, let's see what it's like. So we mixed it, and it's milk. We didn't die from it. We didn't get sick from it. It's milk. So what we did is we got a big drum, boiled water, put a bag of milk in it, got a tip, the thing, to stir it, and we got a drum, an oil drum of milk. We got the kids in the neighborhood to come and have a glass of milk. Even something like that. And then we said, milk, let's get something else. So we collected a little bit of money from each other, and we bought a couple of boxes of bananas. So we gave a cup of milk and a banana. All it cost us was just that little effort, getting the fire, getting the water to boil, putting the milk in, stirring it up, making sure there's no lumps, getting some cups, and feeding the kids. So instead of burning 10 bags of milk, because somebody decided, the calendar said it's expired, we had kids. And we literally, after a couple of months, we could see the difference in those kids. So whatever it takes, just do it. It's going to do somebody some good. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste whatever resources you have. So, thank you.